I'm sure all of my NBA people just caught that banger of a game on TNT NBA Finals rematch, the second time since the 2022 NBA Finals that we have seen Golden State Warriors, the Boston Celtics match up on the big stage, and this time the Celtics did what they had to do to keep this thing even. You just gotta get a little taste of revenge. Losing two after losing three in a row in the finals, just be embarrassing, just be demoralizing. You might realize something about yourself, that we just don't have what it takes. You can't beat these guys once in 5 games. Obviously, these games are more than just any other regular season game. We gotta see how certain players look coming off of that NBA Finals. Jayson Tatum in particular, the topic of conversation today. First of all, let's just give him the props, all right? 19 rebounds. You know, the line is not pretty overall. 9 for 27 with 7 turnovers. Surely could have been more efficient, could have been more careful with the ball, but you get the W. You get the fourth quarter comeback from being down all game, pretty much looking dead in the water. Didn't think they were going to pull this one out. And it did take the awakening of Jaylen Brown, who was frankly awful for the majority of this game. He kind of came into his own at the end. Did have to chase Steph Curry around the entire night, which I don't think he's really used to. Used to seeing Marcus Smart in that matchup, and I think he's better equipped to do that. But I think Brown did a hell of a job, honestly, on Steph Curry. So shout out to him at least for that, and they get the W. So the reason we're focusing in on Tatum today, by the way, this is a game the Celtics should win. They didn't even cover. I don't want to hear Celtics fans bragging about anything. You finally got one at home. It's about damn time, is what I would say. And Jayson Tatum, yet again, he has not had one truly great game against the Warriors the entire NBA Finals and the 2 ensuing regular season games this year. Obviously, we know what happened to him down the stretch of that Finals last year. Guy definitely sees Andrew Wiggins in his nightmares. Maybe he gets a little bit of a break from that now, even though far from the ideal game. It was a sloppy game just all around. Nobody really shot the ball well, just a lot of turnovers on both ends of the floor. So I'm not docking him for his performance tonight. But the truth is that Tatum against certain teams is guardable in a playoff scenario. For example, just look at last postseason. He's not the best player on his team during the Eastern Conference Finals, nor in the NBA Finals. Jaylen Brown, who I think is equipped to be the ideal number 2 on a championship team, quality of player, guy who can just get a bucket against pretty much any number 2 defensive player, as Tatum will be getting the primary defensive assignment. Struggles a little bit more with that, especially he's not the bruising, driving player that is often ideal in these playoff scenarios. More of the finesse, perimeter jumper heavy, which is not the archetype of player that fares better in a playoff scenario against the more physical defensive guys who are going to be contesting these shots. I mean, your legs get tired in these more grueling games. You're going to need to drive to the bucket, draw some fouls. So credit to Jayson Tatum. He gets to the line today despite a tough shooting game, 12 of 12 from the line. Easily by far the highest volume of free throws today for any Celtic, and a big reason they were able to pull out this W. This guy can win an MVP. He's that good of a regular season player, but the game changes in the playoffs. I mean, we all know this. He's never been the guy that elevates his play in the setting. Maybe in some series, he's definitely had some series where he is this version of himself. For example, against the Brooklyn Nets, the last 2 times they faced off in the postseason. And of course, maybe his best game of all time against the Bucks in that game 6. He hung, I think, like 46 points in Milwaukee. Closeout game to keep his team alive. Otherwise, in that series, he's going up against like Wesley Matthews and had a couple games where he struggled more than you may anticipate. Also, Milwaukee, a team that is not super well equipped to guard a guy like Jayson Tatum, given their frequent philosophy over the last few seasons of just giving up a lot of threes, preventing drivers, caters more to Jayson Tatum. Whereas a team like Miami, Golden State that has wing guys that really get after you on the perimeter, he hasn't been as effective. This video is just about being the number 1 guy. It's rare. Like, Steph Curry has been the number 1 guy on a championship team. Kevin Durant has, but even Kevin Durant needed to join the Golden State Warriors to do that, like winning the championship. If he had won a championship in OKC, if he had won one so far in Brooklyn, or if he wins one in Brooklyn, conversation would be a little bit different. But you see how difficult it really is. I mean, you see the last 10 or 15 years. Kawhi Leonard, Steph Curry, LeBron, little Kevin Durant. I mean, even guys like Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. Sure, still in their prime, still got time. Arguably the 2 best regular season players in basketball, and they haven't even played in the finals. I mean, Joker got to the conference finals once. Joel Embiid has still not been there. At least Jayson Tatum has that edge over those guys. I think Tatum has the supporting cast to do it. The question is he that guy? And I haven't seen anything that convinces me that he is. A lot of guys are great regular season players. Stats are as easy to come by as ever right now. Everybody jumps to these conclusions and hot takes in January, February. Guys, wait till May. That will tell you everything you need to know about a player. Of course, regular season performance is important. I'm not saying it's not. But when you are this level of player, all that is expected. You gotta be great in the regular season, you gotta win a lot of games. But there are just more guys that are capable of that than guys that are capable of being the guy on a championship team. Win the title, be the guy, be the true finals MVP. But for me, when I see this guy play that finals series from last year, it's fresh in my mind. Certainly there's one team he does not want to see in the NBA Finals, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's more teams in the playoffs, whether it be in the East or a team he might eventually meet in the NBA Finals, that really has a great defensive scheme and counter for what he does. So I look at this team and I see great defenders, switchable defense that can guard everybody, great depth, especially at guard, a sixth man of the year candidate in Malcolm Brogdon, another guy, Derek White, that can come off the bench and give you huge minutes if you need. Grant Williams, I see the same thing. Everybody on this team can guard that plays. And Al Horford is still, he's getting younger. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know how he could be this good at this point in his career. I love Marcus Smart. I don't know if he's the number 3, but I think the rest of your team is so good that it doesn't matter. And your number 3 can be a combination of players. And you got your number 2. Jaylen Brown can give work to any number 2 defender in the league, while the number 1 takes Jayson Tatum. And maybe that matchup is a little bit difficult in some occasions, especially this one, but I think the Celtics have it in general, but it's going to come down to Jayson Tatum. That's all I can really say. Let me know what you guys think. What's your opinion on this? Is Jayson Tatum really that number 1 guy for the Boston Celtics or not? That's going to do it. Peace.